Okay, in this video, I want to start actually extracting data from the weather JSON response so we can summarize it. We can get what the absolute hottest temperature will be, absolute coldest temperature, whether it'll ever rain, things like that during the duration of our trip. And to do that, I'm gonna have to create quite a few new functions for like iterating by days and things like that. So I think the first thing I want to do is actually create a utils file, and I'll move some of the functions over to that, and I'll start with this calculate duration function that we've already been using. So I'm going to open this, and I think I'm going to want a new file in here. I'll call it utils.js. And I will move this function, calculate duration, over there. And then I think, I don't actually know how to do this, but I think what I need to do is export calculate duration. That doesn't look right. Import calculate duration. I think there's supposed to be spaces around that. From utils.js. See if everything is happy now. No. Oh, I think maybe I need the path. Like that. Okay, now it looks like the issue is here. Okay, let's maybe ask Claude how to do this. Okay, let's see what Claude has to say. So it looks like I maybe put the export at this level. Oops. Get rid of it here. Okay, that looks good. Let's just run this really quick to see if it works. Yeah, calculating the duration still, that all looks good. Okay. Now, the next thing, and this is like a little housekeeping detail, is whenever we call or calculate the duration for purposes of the API call, we actually want to start from today, because the API call always starts from today and just goes to however many days out you ask for. So I want to be able to use today's date instead of the start date when we're calculating the duration for purpose of the API call. So I'm going to ask Claude how to get the today date, because I don't know that much about the date module or object, but I assume there's a easy way to get today's date. And then today, I don't know. It's say the 11th, 10th. Okay. Okay. So, okay, today, full year. Okay, so there's not a straightforward way because you got a pad and things like that. But that is totally fine because we have this utilities function now. So, or utilities file. So let's just put it in there. And now we can access that wherever we need it. I think this is maybe indented. Okay, yeah, that's fine. This just maybe goes back here. Okay, so we've got that now. So fetch weather data. Here we want to do just today's date. So first thing we need to do is import it. Okay, and then here we'll do get today date. And then I think that is the only place we need to do it. Let me just search for start date. There are a lot of references to it. Okay, so there's our state variable. Handle start date, that's fine. So here, when there's exactly one, this duration is just for the display of the trip detail, so that's fine. We call fetch weather data, and that will now use today's date, so that's good. Yeah, so that is all good. So let's try running that. So let's say we are going to San Luis Obispo. And let's say we are doing a trip from the 12th to the 13th. Submit that. Still says it's 2 days, but the weather API call should start with today's weather because again, it always defaults to that. Yeah, so it'll start with the 10th and go out until the 13th. Okay, so that looks good. So the next thing we need to do is start getting weather data out of this API response. So I think the way I want to do that is I want a function that will extract a specific piece of data. For example, let's focus on the temperature, the high temperature. So I'll call it get daily weather item. It's going to need the weather object, and it is going to need the weather item, and it is going to need a start date, and it is going to need an end date. Okay. So the first thing we need to do here is start looping through the dates. I don't know the easiest way to do that. Maybe we create a function that gets the next date. So we extract the date, and then get whatever information we need, add a day, and we keep doing that until we get to the end date. I think that will work. So let's have a variable current date. It starts out as the start date. Okay. So then maybe we can do a while loop. No. Let's ask this. Does JavaScript have a while loop where the condition is checked at the end? Do while, I think that's what we want to do. So we want to do this while current date is not yet end date. So as soon as the current date is equal to the end date, we will stop. Okay. So we need to iterate the dates. So let's do this. Let's say 2024 08/31. How do I get the next date as a string? Okay, so the date object, and then get date, and add one, and then turn it back into a string. Okay, that all looks good. So we are going to need this function. This one I don't think we will be calling from outside the utilities script. So this one I don't need to export, I believe. So we also are going to need a list or an array. Called the daily weather array. Start as an empty array. So we're going to do a little pseudocode here. Get daily weather item. Add daily weather item to array, and then we are going to increment the day. So let's start with this increment array. So we'll say current date is equal to get next date of the current date. And again, we'll keep doing that until the current date equals the end date, okay? So now for getting the daily weather item, we need to navigate through this weather object. So we'll start with the weather object. Dot, we don't want the location, we don't want the current, we want the forecast day. Okay. This is gonna be a little bit trickier because then we're gonna have to say, find the one where the date is equal to the date we're looking for. So we can say const daily forecast is equal to, or actually, I think we can do this outside. We only need to do it once. Dot forecast dot forecast day. And this is going to be a list. That's the first day. And it's going to go through all the hours. Okay, okay. So I think actually to get the weather item, we're actually going to have to loop through. It's actually daily forecasts. So let's say current date forecast is equal to, I can do this by manually looping through, but maybe there's a fancier way. Let me ask Claude. In JavaScript, how do I get the item out of an array that satisfies a condition? Oh, okay, so that looks pretty clean. Is equal to daily forecast dot find call it the daily forecast that meets this condition, and it would be daily forecast dot date is equal to the current date. Whew, if this works, it is going to be, on my first try, it is going to be a miracle. I think that looks pretty good. Okay. So then, how do I append an item on an array? I really don't know how to use arrays very well in JavaScript. Push, okay. So here I will do daily weather array dot push current date forecast dot, and then this would be the weather item, whatever one we're looking for. Let's see if I can just do it like that. And then the very last thing we need to do is return daily weather array. Let's see if that works. Okay, this should technically be not equal like that. Okay, so it looks like this actually, this is unrelated, but this won't work as a dot. It needs to be bracket. That makes sense to me. Okay, let's see if we can get this to work. So when we fetch the weather data, to do this, which makes me think that I may actually want to update this to be async await format, because we're going to add more functionality to it. I think that needs to happen. So I think we're going to call this async function like this. And then we are going to do const weather response equals await of the fetch right here. Just copy it for now. I know I could just insert it there, but I want to make sure this all works before I delete any of my existing text. And then we are going to do const weather data equals await the weather response JSON. And then we are going to set the JSON weather response as the result, as the weather data. And then this is now where we can start to use that utility function. Let me do this for now. I'm just going to comment this out. Actually, one other thing, trying to get better about this type of stuff. We want to wrap this in a try catch block so that we do catch error, and I'll just copy this here, just log that error. And then we'll indent all this. And I don't know if this should be inside the try block or outside. I think I'll do it outside. I think that'll work, but we'll see. So we want to import this function. Let me copy its signature just so I have a reference. So we want to import this function. And then we will, now I'll just do this const first weather report equals get daily weather from the JSON weather object, which would be weather data. And then let's say what I want to get is the max temp Fahrenheit. And then we will use the start date of the trip and the end date of the trip. And then let's just try alerting that. See, actually, I think probably better do console.log. Like I said, it's gonna be a small miracle if this works on the first try. Weather data is here. Interesting, so it's only defined within its block. I think I did know that is how JavaScript works. So let's see if we can just use the JSON weather response. And this is where the asynchronous nature of these things does get me a little bit tripped up. So we will see. So let's do this. Let's do San Luis Obispo. Let's do a trip from tomorrow to the 12th. everything crashed. Let's take a look at our console. Okay, so we did get an error in line 73. Oh, okay. Weather object.forecast.forecast day. Oh, it's coming up here because we call fetch weather data there. Okay. Does it give me more description here? Yeah, down in utils. Okay, so it looks like it's line 24 in utils. Yep, right there. So I think there's two possibilities. I have some sort of like typo. Weather object dot forecast day. I don't think there's a typo. So I think another possibility is the asynchronous nature of this. So what I can do is, let's try moving this inside here. And then I don't need to use the JSON weather response. I can just use the weather data that we just got, because we're waiting. So what's going to happen below won't execute until the previous line is completed, I believe. So we'll try that. We'll try refreshing this, San Luis Obispo, again from the 11th to the 12th. Did I just crash the app? Let's try that again. It's not responding. Okay, I think it's stuck in some sort of like endless loop or something. So we are going to go and do a little debugging. In the utilities folder, let's do this. Let's, I don't even know if that'll work, but let's try alerting the, or no, we can put it in the console. That's better debugging. Console.log daily forecasts. And then let's just not even do this. Let's see what happens. Okay, San Luis Obispo from the 11th to the 12th. That all works. Let's take a look at the console. Okay, let's maybe try logging the weather object. So this is the weather object. And then here, this is good. This is the weather report for the relevant days. So that works. Let me get rid of this one. Nope, sorry, wrong file. Let's get rid of the weather object. Let's do our loop. But for now, let's just look at the dates. So we will do current for console.log, current date, and then we'll do console.log finished, do while loop. Okay. Okay, so problem is we have an endless loop here. So that means there's probably something wrong with this get next date. So we'll go back to commenting this out. Let's do console.log current date. Let's do console.log, what's the name of the function? Get next date of current date. See how it handles those. And actually, for good measure, let's do console.log end date. Okay. There's our weather object. This is the current date. This is the next date is not actually working. Okay, I think I'm going to take a break here.